What is up, everybody? Josh Tapp here again, and welcome back to the Lucky Titan. And today we're here with Brian Gregory. And this guy has brought such an awesome tool to the table in the ad space. And I'm really excited to kind of dive into that tool. And the reason I'm having Brian on here is because I feel like this is a tool that all of you have been asking for and looking for. So his company is called ADMANITY, and this guy has really built out a system that helps you figure out the best way to actually market your business. And his kind of claim to fame is in 5 minutes, they're going to basically set you up for 20 years of marketing. So Brian, excited to have you here. Say what's up to everybody and let's hop in.
Hey, everybody. I'm excited to be here, Josh. Great podcast. And thank you for having me on today. Let's blow some minds.
Let's do it. So first off, I want to ask you, Brian, kind of your pivotal moment in your business where you realized that running ads was going to be the number one most important thing in your life.
You know, I had a magazine and I was selling the ads and I was providing that media. I was one of the media guys. And I noticed over time, 15 years, that the same problems were popping up. And all my clients were local businesses and, mom and pops and small business. And they didn't have the education, the background, the psychology degree to create these kinds of the ads that would work. And even in a local market, the ad has to be on point because it's still a human being seeing this product. And I realized that I was just providing a means to fail because I was giving them an open book. Here, put your ad in there. Let's see what happens. And of course, the ads were not up to par. And that's what led me to say there's got to be a better way. Somebody's got to show these people something. Even people that go to marketing school don't get this information. And so our marketers and agencies are some of our clients even. And so I said, there's got to be a better way. And that's what set me down the path to creating this algorithm that would analyze any brand in 5 minutes and give them all the answers so they could just get right to the fun part. Let's create a great ad and make money, right? That's the best part.
And that's the part that everybody gets hung up on, right? We were talking about this before, in the pre-interview, and we're talking about how pretty much everybody, especially in our community, they focus so heavily on this machine, the back end. And I do think that's what the masters do, right? Is they focus on the back end, but the front end, if you don't even have that moving or any sort of real traffic going through there, I mean, that's the lifeblood of your business. And if you don't have that, what's the point in building out these super complex funnels that aren't going to yield anything when nobody goes through them? So Brian, I want to ask you this, especially with our audience in mind, these coaches, consultants, agency types, they're saying, how do I use ads effectively without A, breaking the bank, but B, basically guaranteeing their success? Because we've all been sold all the different ads and everything, right? But how would you recommend for them to close the deal with ads?
Well, as you mentioned, technology is affording us one avenue after another, right? The tech just changes every 5 seconds. By the time we're done with this podcast, tech will have changed.
Right.
And so an agency people, especially, I can't even imagine the burden of trying to keep up with all this tech to properly advise your clients. And then if you're doing it on your own, you don't even have an agency to help you. Oh, good luck, right? And so tech is moving faster. But what is interesting is that human emotionality hasn't changed in thousands of years. So here's this dinosaur sitting in the middle of this tech jungle that literally will not change. It has not changed. It will be the same for your kids and their kids and their kids. If you master the human emotions that move product, that move human beings to make sales and make purchases, then you've just mastered one of the biggest skills in marketing. And it gets ignored because the tech is so alluring and it's so awesome. The tech is awesome. It targets with unbelievable skill. But now what do you say to them? You got the guy that you're in your sights. He's in your funnel. What do you say to this person that says to him, I can't live without this. I must have it now. Well, there are certain combinations of human emotions that have been proven over time in ads in the market, billion-dollar examples of why it works over and over and over again. We show you those so that you can learn from the best advertisers in the history of Earth. They were produced by the best agencies on the planet Earth. There's no reason you shouldn't have those formulas, and that's what we give you.
Love that. And basically those formulas are, I mean, it's not rocket science for a lot of people, right? They're simple, tangible things that people can take and say, okay, I want to use the words, the colors, everything that works. And I don't want to have to guess, right? Because the guessing with ads is what keeps most people from doing it, is what I would say. So I want to ask you this, Brian, because there's pretty much everybody listening to this sells a high ticket service. And we look at a lot of ads and we say, okay, but are those actually going to generate me business, right? Because we've kind of been sold to that the only way to sell high ticket products and services is through networking and calling on the phone and those sort of things. So how would you recommend using ads to sell high ticket services?
Here's the cool thing: when the name of the business is ADMANITY, so it's advertising plus humanity. That's how we got the word. People think it's just about ads, and it's not. Everything you do in your company will benefit from the formulas we give you. You will be talking to people. You can use a formula for that conversation. You'll be using social media posts. There's a formula for those conversations as well. You'll be using email. You'll be using a funnel. You've got a website. You'll be on a webinar. You've got a podcast. You're writing a book. You've got a blog. All of these things will be improved by ADMANITY, because we're just basically going to say, this is what humans like. Start formulating your message to this formula. And it's not what you think it is. People say, oh, I know my formula. I just put a big dose of fear at the end of it, right? And, there's fear is one of the archetypes of ADMANITY. We show you how to wield fear like a weapon, but it's not applicable in all situations. If that's all you do, it's like that old premise in law. They say, if all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. Well, we're going to give you 15 different hammers in ADMANITY, 15 different emotions that sell product and how to combine them. So this is like a master class that's given to you based on the masters that created the ads to begin with.
Love that. That's so awesome. So when you're looking at, somebody who is selling high ticket, where would you recommend that they start? Obviously your service and your tools and everything are going to really, honestly, I would just say get them there. But let's talk through, a hypothetical here of somebody who's a coach where there's really a lot, there's the competition's crazy in the coaching space, right? So how do you help them differentiate, and what would you recommend for them as far as their first steps to using ads?
Well, the good news, you're absolutely right. There's never been more people splashing in the water than right now. Unfortunately, or maybe fortunately for you, most of them are doing it incorrectly. So let them splash. They're never going to be heard, and their brand is not going to probably succeed anywhere near some of the people who are selling the programs for it. And interestingly, whether you're selling a $10,000 course or a $500 course, the triggers are very, very similar. They differ a little bit in a high-end situation, but really you're selling people on an attraction archetype. I want change. I want transformation. I want to be better. Better, stronger, faster, smarter, cooler. I want you to change me for the better. And most people who embark on that kind of a journey have not been successful doing it. So as one strike against you is they've never been able to do this on their own. And here you are saying, I can do it for you. So we show you as the attraction brand, for example, how to overcome that and how to convince them that you are the person that can do it. You do it every day. They will be happy at the end of this. And there are certain formulas that do that. And you can't just brag about yourself. That isn't it. That never works. Facts are rational. Rationality is the basis for all objection and to not make a decision. Emotionality makes people buy like that. And that's what you want. And if nobody ever showed you the formulas, you wouldn't know. High-end course, I don't care if it's $200,000. There's a formula that works great for that. We're going to give you more than one. We're going to give you 16 different formulas as part of the analysis. So you're going to have a choice. This one works great on social. This one works great on my emails. This one, if I could do a video on this, it'd be awesome. So you'll see them unfold as you read them and understand them.
Yeah. Well, and working with so many different types of businesses, in your industry, what have you found? What platforms have you found to be the most important in any ad strategy, or is there any?
Well, the interesting thing is we analyze the big brands of the past, even way before internet. I mean, some of the biggest brands in the world were built with, direct mail pieces and magazine ads that you'd probably laugh at today. But they became billion-dollar brands without social media, without the internet, without influencers, right? Without a funnel. They just understood humanity. This is what people want. Well, why don't we just give them that? Does not make more sense than trying to bamboozle them with all the tech. Here's what humans like, give them that. And that's one of the things I teach. And so, you know, when you study these ads, you realize that the basics are primal. And no matter how modern we get and how sophisticated we get, you know, these things always work. And humans aren't going to change for you. So you need to change for them. You need to figure it out. And so, you know, I don't know if that answers everything you wanted me to answer, but it comes down to the dinosaur isn't stupid. Right. And the great masters of the past knew more about human emotionality than some of the people that are wizards of, and I'm not saying they're not making money. I mean, you can win by buying enough Facebook ads. You buy $10,000 a day, you can make some money. Right. But most people don't have that luxury. So they better learn how to do it on $500 or $100, right?
Right. Well, and that does dovetail into my next question, because the budget is one of the biggest deterrents for a lot of people in putting money into ads, as far as especially the solopreneur coach type. They're very, and I know this because I've worked with so many of them, they're scared to spend the money. So what do you recommend as far as strategies for people who are financially nervous about putting money into ads? Where would you recommend they advertise? Because you're talking, you don't even have to use one of these paid platforms to make it work. What would you recommend?
Well, yeah, your own social media, which is free to use, your own email list, if you have one, is free to use. Do a split test. So simple. We're going to give you 16 different ways to do it. You look at them and you say, well, I like 2 or 3 of these right off the bat. I think, you know, this is going to make sense. Split test a little, because it's never been cheaper to do that than on the web. I think you should split test where it's inexpensive to do so. And then, you know, look at the results, and don't spend money until you know you've got at least a pretty darn good bet here. You know, try to make $1.50 for every dollar. It's just something, right? Be a winner. Right. And ignore the fairy tales that you hear of the guy who spent $1,000 and he's a trillionaire today. But for $29.95, I can show you how to do it, right? There's a lot of people in the business now who have some good ideas. Try to glean what you can off of those ideas, but stick to the basics. There's nothing new in humanity. Humans haven't changed. We're all walking around human 1.0. 2.0 hasn't appeared yet. I don't know what that person looks like, but I know what to sell to 1.0. I know what that 1.0 likes. And stick to the basics, folks. It never fails. It really never fails. No matter what kind of media you like. You like Instagram? Great. You like print? Great. You like billboards, TV, radio, direct mail, door hangers? Don't care. Doesn't matter. ADMANITY suits them all. Period.
Awesome. And I love that, because it's really saying, let's get to what actually sells, which is the words and the message and what the emotion, like you're saying, that gets across to them. Because it's so interesting to watch that people will run ads on Facebook and then they realize, oh, those weren't working for me. So they think the best solution is to move to the next platform. But the reality is that it doesn't matter what your message is. If it's not converting on one platform, it's not going to convert on another platform. So it's cool to see that you've said, hey, you know, even door hangers, I love that you even added that in there, because that's such an old style thing, right? I even remember for myself starting a lawn mowing company and going and putting flyers in people's mailboxes, which I actually think is illegal, but you know, I was like 12, so.
I won't tell. Yeah, you know, people would come in my magazine and they would leave, you know, dissatisfied because the ad didn't pull, and they would take the same ad and go run it in the other guy's magazine. You know, right. They just believed that the ad couldn't be the problem, and it's always the problem. Very rarely is the media so horrible that it can't get a result, right? And that's their job. Their job as media is to distribute your message. It is not to create it for you. It is not to advise you on it. It's to get it out there. All media, that's what they do. They do that great. The burden of creating the ad is always on the buyer. So you must create an ad that makes sense. And that's why we reduced this down to 15 emotions. I don't know if we said this before, but there are 15 emotions that have sold every brand, every product, every service in the world, in the history of the planet. And all ads will derive from these 15 emotions. What we do is we break those down. We show you which emotion you're most like as a brand, because there's a 5-minute test that you take online. It's very simple. True, false, anybody can take this test, but in 5 minutes, boy, it gets right. It's like an X-ray. It gets under the logo. It shows you what's in the onion. Okay, peel back the layers. This is what sells you. This is what people will want about you. This is what they will not like. Don't say this, right? And we tell you everything about the brand. And people tell us, 90% of it, I would have never thought of this. This is not obvious. This is not telling you what you already know. This is a kind of a new way to think about yourself. We tend to think of our brands as products, and this is my thing, and this is my funnel, and this is who I am. No, it isn't. This is what you sell. What people feel is how you make millions. That's how you build a brand. It's on feeling, not on product or features.
Love that. I absolutely love that, because I know for us, we've recently even had to look at our own brand and say, what's the feeling that we bring across it? Why are people actually wanting to come to us? And for us, it's a legacy based thing. People don't come to us to make their first $1,000 online, right? They're coming to us because they really want to give back. They have that legacy based in mind. And it's been interesting because even just identifying that one emotion, you're talking about identifying all these different emotions that would bring people into your world. It's actually allowed us to restructure our marketing to make it a lot more successful, because we know A, who we're selling to, and B, it provides such a clarity for the people who are coming to us, because we can just use that word legacy over and over and over and over again. And it rings in their mind because that's what they want. So it's cool. And I can attest to what you're doing because of how much it's worked for us. So Brian, we are coming up to the end of the interview here. So I want to ask you, first off, where can people get access to that free test that you're talking about?
Well, the test itself, there's two things. We have a free report that we'll give you, okay? So if you go to admanity.com, that's ADMANITY.com/the Lucky Titan, all one word, just the Lucky Titan. If you go there, you'll see a free download that you can get. This will open your mind to what ADMANITY is, and it will share with you our philosophies and why this works and why you're probably not using a lot of this stuff and you should be. And look what happened to the people that did. And so we kind of just expose everything for you to make an honest decision. Then you can go to admanity.com and buy your own analysis. And it's $397, not per month, not per day. That's it. It's $397. It's not going to break any brand, and it's priced that way so that's our altruism, by the way, is to help the small business. So it's not $3,000, it's right. $397. Comes with a 30-day money back guarantee, so you get to read everything. And it's there's over 150 pages of information that you're going to get back, all about you. It's the most interesting reading you'll ever do, with all the secrets and tips and tricks and insider agency level advice that you will not get anywhere else for $397. So if you want to reach out to me, I'm on LinkedIn, Brian Gregory, ADMANITY. Please do, especially you agency guys, happy to chat with you. We have a lot of agencies that use us to diagnose their clients, so they get an instant blueprint on what to do with those people. So yeah, we're here to help. This has not been done before. There is no other company in the world that I know of doing this, and the price may go up. So I'm saying maybe you might buy now versus later.
So hopefully you're listening to this episode soon and not 5 years from now, but go check this out, because honestly, this is what I would say is the fastest way to build your own ads. Because the thing is, when I've even worked with multiple different agencies, and I was a Facebook agency, a solo freelancer back in the day, and it's an ever-changing game, but B, you have to pay thousands of dollars a month in order to tap into the strategy, but the creative. And if you could just do it yourself, you might as well do it. So Brian, I appreciate you coming on today. So again, they can go to admanity.com or admanity.com/the Lucky Titan if they want that report. And then Brian, can I ask you one final question before we wrap this up?
Yes.
So if you could leave us with one final parting piece of guidance, what would that be?
One final piece of guidance. Oh boy, the big question there. I would say, if I had to give a class in 5 minutes and they were going to yank me off the stage and say, this is all you've got. What we're trying to do and what we're trying to show you how to do, most people sell their brand from their own side of the fence, and they say, this is what I am. This is why I'm so cool. I'm so awesome, right? And you are. I'm not taking that away, but nobody cares. Nobody really cares how awesome you are. They care how awesome you're going to make them, especially if you're a coach or an agency. That's really all they care about. What are you going to do for me? And if you will analyze the brand, even if you don't get ADMANITY, let's say you don't buy ADMANITY, okay? Here's one tip of advice. Sell people exactly what they want. Figure out that first. That's the first question on your blank sheet of paper. What do these people want from me? And write down every crazy lunatic wish that a genie could possibly grant, that you know you may not be able to do all this, but that's what they want, right? That's what they want. And then look at your list and say, okay, a couple of these I could actually do. Some of these I may have to modify, but we got to get to what they want, because as soon as I hand you anything close to what you really want as a human being, you're buying, because I've eliminated all of the obstructions. And there's a million ways to do it. And we've all seen the webinars and the instructionals, but what we're trying to get to is, here's exactly what you want. Why aren't you whipping out your credit card right now? In fact, you should buy two, right? Because the barriers are gone. You can sell a red Ferrari to someone who can't afford one. If you get to them, you sell them what they want. And it's not a car, by the way. So that'd be my one piece of advice. Start thinking about your brand from the want of the customer instead of what you want to sell them, and you'll be way better off.